Hi, I'm Chris from airwindows, and I'm here to show you another plugin. This is called Average. Now you might say, well, who needs an average plugin? But this is not just your average plugin. Here, let me show you what it sounds like. It's effectively a kind of high-frequency roll-off. Here's some music. And as I start increasing the value on this, it'll go more dull. See, it's getting a lot more dull. And then all to white to bright again. Now here's the thing. If you heard a sort of flangey effect out of that, you heard rightly, because Average is not your usual plugin as far as, let's quiet that down a little bit. Average is not your usual plugin as far as high-frequency roll-off is concerned. It's a much simpler algorithm. Oh, wrong button, sorry. It's a much simpler algorithm and literally does nothing but average a series of samples together, gradually increasing the one on the end so that you can get a continuous effect rather than a discrete effect with individual samples. In other words, you're not picking them out of a slot, you're not picking a number off of a list, but you're gradually increasing the number. Now here's, and what I was actually intending to do was shut that off so that I could talk. Here's the deal. The way that averaging works causes a very natural sounding high frequency roll off. It has absolutely no pre or post ring to it. What that is here, I'll grab a little note card. And what pre and post ring is if you have a sample waveform and it does something kind of like that. There's a wiggle in the beginning, there's a wiggle in the end. The human ear can pick that up very easily. But what average is more like is a continuous smoothing like that, whereas the unfiltered could look something like that. Now, the reason this sounds good is because the lack of pre-ring and post-ring, but also the human ear seems to be good at overlooking things like comb filtering and bounces off of like a hard surface. It's not good for the sound when you have that, but our ears are good at hearing through stuff like that because we do that all day long, every day. For that reason, if you have an averaging filter to roll off your top end and you get a node in it, like for instance, it's still on, right? Yep. Here's a node. The way this works is if it goes to literally a multiple of 2, I get a really extreme node right there. You can see that it's moving. And then as I go to 4 taps, I have a really extreme node, whereas 3, you can see it's still there, but it's not as extreme. If we watch slowly as it changes, we'll see that the node gets intense at 4, and then it tends to go back again at around 4.4 or so. There's another big node at 5. Any integer number is going to produce a larger tap there. But as you can see, it's continually adding these nodes. And it starts to affect the sound. If you want to avoid the nodes where possible, then go to half settings, like 9.5 here is less obvious than either 9 or 10. But this sounds kind of natural to us because our ears are used to hearing past these nodes. Our ears are used to making sense of acoustic phenomena that are in open air next to hard surfaces of one kind or another. Averaging filters are used in audiophile reproduction sometimes. Like there are high sample rate things. I'm pretty sure the Neil Young audio player Pono, which I have one, it's wonderful, uses this at high sample rate. And the way they would use it is to smooth off excess information in the highs that's not musically relevant. Here, I'll turn this back on again. So you can see this is over 20K here. It's containing that information, but if we go to 2 taps, and as you can see, this works as a nice little roll-off for if you just wanted to soften the highs without necessarily going to a full cancellation. But if I go to exactly 2, what we have is a soft roll-off of the high frequencies. This is not unlike what I'm doing with the Slew 2 plugin. It's capable of producing the same effect, but it is level related, whereas this is not. If I adjust this, I'm going to have the same pattern at all levels, whereas Slew 2 acts like it's a clipper, so it acts like there's the threshold beyond which it just keeps getting more rolled off, and average will do this shape at any frequency. I mean, at any volume level. And again, if you wanted to increase that somewhat, we've got a setting at around maybe 2. As you can see, about 2.25 is going to give you a nice roll-off that's even softer than that. You can use something like a test oscillator with this white noise to find useful settings for this guy. And then supposing we weren't using the test oscillator anymore, and we were using this music. Now let's imagine we found a sound in here that was an unpleasant resonance in the extreme highs. In fact, I think I can almost see one. Something's going on here. Might be the hi-hat. And it's a little bit over 9K. Well, if I had just the isolated track going on, and I wanted to make that go away and also cut the highs beyond that point, I can put one of those nodes right there. I'll demonstrate it with the test oscillator, remembering, of course, to put the gain back on. By the way, you should be seeing that purist gain coming out as a VST before very long, although there's not a lot of use putting purist gain out in some of the VST, because VST can run a thing called double replacing, meaning that the entire underlying processing of the DAW is 64-bit floating point, at which point all gains are basically extremely pure gain. But anyway, beyond that, Let's take average and put the first node at 9K. It's just a little beyond there. Not quite as slow as that, though. It was up here. Now, if I shut that off and run this music, you see the spike here? Gone. In fact, it's the opposite. It is for this reason that the final version of the plugin includes a wet-dry control. Anyways, that's sort of how you use it. If you need to control some kind of frequency in this area, or here's another one. Around 16K. And I'll go and find average and set it to 16K. And then if I want to get rid of this little peak here, boom. I hope average is useful. It is a very simple algorithm, but the thing is you're not going to be finding it in DAWs and plugins as a rule because people don't know to use stuff like this that behaves a little bit more unusually. And it's worth remembering that if you've got an algorithm that's a very simple algorithm and behaves really well in certain circumstances, but then it has funny characteristics, like, for instance, the characteristic of putting enormous nodes into the output, but it still sounds good. It's possible to use that stuff and dial in the nodes to sit in a particular place so that they can serve a useful purpose. This is the essence of working with digital audio and the digital audio workstation, is knowing when you can pull out something like that that is going to apply basically the right processing you're looking for, while just not over-processing and giving you a lot of unpleasant results that you don't necessarily want. After all, what we've got with the average here, it's got that slight flangey quality, but it's a very natural kind of roll-off. It's a very natural kind of tonal coloration. And this kind of tone to add to your high frequencies is just all kinds of useful. It's continuous and it's got an appealing sound to the ear. The texture is right in it. I hope you like average. It is audio unit, VST. By the time you see it, it has a wet dry because, obviously. And I hope you like it. Did I say audio unit and VST? It's audio unit and VST for Mac and PC. And it is free. The work that I do is Patreon supported. And again, I still hope you like it.